things we talk about here, and these are issues that the AFA deals with and other groups that would be unfathomable to generations past in America. Unfathomable. Couldn't even conceive of it being a possibility. Number one would be, Satanism glorified in America. Number two, two people of the same sex wanting to get married. You imagine Crane telling your grandpa that if he were still alive?
That's what I don't understand.
They would look at you like you're telling me Martians have landed on Earth. That's what you're telling me.
Right. You're telling me two men want to get married? And then turning their head.
They would be speechless. Like, what are you? I don't even know what you're talking about here. That's not, as I said, unfathomable. Then we got the third thing is the taking of innocent human life. Before 1973, Roe versus Wade, abortion was outlawed, with the possible exception of, a few rare exceptions in most states across the country. So what Roe versus Wade did was, make abortion the acceptable. You couldn't restrict it, basically, is what Roe versus Wade said. So before that ruling, it was unfathomable that,
and they couldn't find it in the Constitution for numbers of rights in the shadows.
No, unfathomable that someone would want to take a human life inside a woman's womb and rip it, limb to limb. You can't or inject saline solution and scald the fetus. You know what I'm saying? That would be unfathomable because it's just not, something that civilized people do.
And now they celebrate people that want to go against a ban at 20 weeks, like Wendy Davis is the new hero of abortion. And they equate it to women's rights. Well, that's what gets me. I mean, again, what you said you look, hey, Grandpa.
Right.
Here's what they want to do. And what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yeah, our grandparents, I'm 51. You're in your 40s, right? 30s?
Yes. Well, I like that. Keep going. But,
You're in your 40s, but we're old enough to have grandparents. Mine are all deceased, but who we can, remember. And I'm just thinking if they could come back to today's America and look at this stuff and us try to explain to them what's happening, they would look at you with their head tilted going, I don't even have a frame of reference for what you're talking about here. I can't even. Like I said, that it would be like telling them that Martians have landed on Earth. They would look at you in that way. So what I'm saying to you, that all those issues representative of what used to be in our great country, and that is acceptance of the Judeo-Christian moral value system as the norm for all of society. I'm not saying everybody was a Christian. I'm just saying that even people who weren't Christians
benefited,
didn't mock God. Or his laws.
And they benefited from the freedom.
Exactly. So whether we can get back to that or not, that's the whole culture war.
And it seems to me that the places where we should be really the foundation of transforming the culture through being salt and light is the church, and we even see churches surrendering and being transformed by the world. And when I look at things, I think when people do make a stand, there's a lesson for us as Christians, as we saw with Duck Dynasty. We've got to stand up. But AFA has been one of the voices, and there are not a lot left, Tim.
No, Tony Perkins the other day from the Family Research Council, on the homosexual agenda, fighting back against it. And I was looking at Tony going, about you and me here.
I know.
We're about the only ones left on the hill. And I didn't mean us personally. I meant the AFA and the FRC, Family Research Council. And I know there are other groups at Liberty Council and others, but there aren't a lot of us, right? A lot of Christian leaders quote today, and even pastors, who I would consider to be brothers in the Lord. I mean, their doctrine, I would agree with, they're believers, but when it comes to these kind of issues, they just head for the tall grass. Just don't get me in that stuff, man. I don't want to deal with that kind of
because they don't want to deal with the attacks that come in and call you every name in the book and compare you to people who like to shut down funerals and write horrible
that's hard
signs.
to get people to sign up for, Crane. That's
but
so that's human nature,
yeah.
But I say that truthfully, that is human nature. But I also say that that's a sad but true statement, and so a lot of Christians today, unfortunately, and many of our listeners know that. Many of our listeners wouldn't fall into that category. They wouldn't be listening to Nothing But Truth with Crane Durham, but we know those people we go to church with are our family members, and they don't even you could ask them who their House of Representatives members are, and they don't even know. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what
ignorance and apathy.
And it's only until they feel the pain of the policies that have been implemented that people wake up, and I think that's
then they want to know where everybody else has been.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what's happening. I mean, look at the war on terror. We see that. We see the war on Christians, and everybody says, well, this has been going on. This has been a trend, and it's growing. And so each and every day, you expose this on today's issues. AFR Talk deals with so many different elements of the culture war, as well as the fact that Christian worldview, this is not merely addressing one issue and saying it's culture. No, it's everything.
Right.
It's our foundation.
Right. All the issues you talk about, Crane, represent brush fires. But the brush fires are part of a wildfire, that's sweeping our country, and we have to do what we can do. We can't quit. I mean, we have go in your kid's room, 10-year-old's room, say, "Daddy's quitting."
Right. That's
standing for Christianity. He's quitting. I'm giving up. I've heard, so we can't quit. We can't.
Well, we have the right answer, and it actually, I mean, can you argue with living biblically? Right. I mean, we'll take the areas of economics or whatever it may be, and say, what?
Yeah. You also can't take the review that we can retreat like the Amish, and live in little communes and be left alone, because you can't do that either. One day they will come for you, so to speak. So, nothing against the Amish. I'm not saying.
Hey, you're not
I'm just saying we can't. That's not the way you impact culture and be salt and light. Is retreating to your own little community.
Amen, brother.
All right.
Hey, thanks for coming, man.
Okay, see you.
Great to be with you.
All right,
see you, Tim Wildmon, AFA president, host of Today's Issues.